Well, I thought I was going to be away from YouTube for a week or so, but here I am again. I just have to make this video here because there's a lot just burning in my heart. There's a lot I want to get off my chest. And so here I am. This is another unscripted video, and I'm going to call it Half Truths. And what inspired that title is really, I'll start at the beginning. I was watching actually it was the last video that the MGTOW person named Liberation Y has posted on his channel. And I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar with Liberation Y, but he's been around a while. He's got some great material. And lately he has been going through a struggle with cancer. I believe it's rare liposarcoma, it's called. And so I was watching his last video where he's talking about he's going through struggles financially, and he's not really able to make too much content anymore. And so that just kind of put me, really, that just made my heart sink, man. It's just so heartbreaking to hear stuff like that, you know? One of our brothers going through that. And yeah, so that's what got my mind just going down that path. And once you start going down that path, it just continues. And so I'm going to post a link to that particular video in the description box below, because he actually requests that the video gets shared as much as possible. So, you know, I want to try to honor that. Then shifting gears a little bit, and you guys will see where this is all going in just a minute. I'm going to kind of wrap this all together and get to the point. So just keep listening. The next video I listened to was by the producer RPW Liberation, and he had a video where there was a father in a child support office that was getting screwed around. I guess he owed some money, and it wasn't really going too well for him. He was having a hearing, and the guy started breaking down, crying, when he realized that he was gonna get shafted. And there was a comment on that video. I don't want to say who it was, just out of respect of privacy, but here was the comment. Quote, "If a woman can't take care of her kids, she gets welfare. If a guy can't take care of his kids, he gets jail. On what planet would a guy ever want to get involved in a marriage contract like that, or have children?" End quote. So this is where I will wrap it all together and explain what I mean by half-truths. The world we live in, guys, obviously screws men over. And that is based on the idea that the world believes or promotes the idea that men are the strong ones. Men are the ones who can take it, right? Oh, you're a man, you can take it. And so here's the thing. There is a partial truth to that. It's a partial truth. We are a little bit stronger physically, and I do believe that emotionally we're a little bit stronger. Those things are all true, right? So when people say, "Oh, you're a man, you can take it," and you know we're expected to be the ones to sacrifice, it's based on a partial truth, and I've been wrestling with that. I do know these things. I know those partial truths. Right? Even in the Bible that I believe in, it talks about that. It even says that women are the weaker vessel. That's the exact term it uses, the weaker vessel. So I will admit those things. But here is the problem. We take those grains of truth. We take the idea that, yes, men are a little bit stronger, and yes, women may need a little bit more help, you know, whether it's lifting a heavy object, right? Assuming that they can't do it, right? Because I don't think we should help anybody just based on if they're a man or woman or based on the color of their skin. I think regardless of who you are, if someone needs help and they're not capable, help them. If there's a woman that can't lift something because she's not as strong as a man, help her. But if she can do it, let her do it. Right? So society has taken those partial truths And they have taken them to the extreme. And what's worse is that those partial truths are used to completely take advantage of one group of people. And in this case, it's men. Men, yes, throughout human history, men are probably the ones who've been the providers, right? And there may be legitimate reason for that. But here comes society and here comes the law now taking advantage of that half-truth and jailing men for not providing, sending men to jail. How the hell do you warrant that? Just because men possibly may be a little bit more inclined to provide, you are then going to jail them? You see what I'm talking about? A half-truth is turned into a horrible, horrible outcome. That's why they say that the worst lies are based on half-truths. And I totally, totally agree with that. Liberation Y. God bless his soul. You know, he said in his video that he tried to get assistance for his condition. And his comment was that he was denied because he's a man. But what if he were a woman in that same situation? He would probably get more care. Just because he's a man, he doesn't? That's crazy. I know a lot of you are probably fans of Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I made reference to him in one of my other videos. Now, some of his comments about MGTOW as being pathetic weasels aside, putting that aside, and by the way, he did apologize for that later. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the videos on that. I'll link them also in the description below. But those comments aside, overall, Dr. Jordan Peterson is a great proponent for men. There's a reason why men are so attracted to his ideas, MGTOW or not. Well, anyway, the reason I bring him up is because in one of his presentations, he was talking about the fact that, men and women have more in common than they have differences. And, that was a surprising thing because especially for conservatives, conservatives a lot of times will tend to exaggerate the differences between men and women. But he said that psychologically there's more overlap, and he used the idea of a bell curve with personality traits. He said that men and women have more overlap than they do differences. And he said the differences only really show up at the extremes, right? So, for example, that's the reason why you see more men incarcerated for violent crime. It's not that your average man is more violent. He says that the reason there's more men in jail is because at the extremes, yes, they're almost all entirely men. Well, anyway, point being is that men and women have more in common than they do different. So if that's the case, why then all these discriminatory things against men? Why are men given these unfair burdens? Why are men sent to jail if they don't pay child support? Why aren't women? Why is the collection of child support only really enforced on men? And how come so few mothers in identical situations to men, when they don't pay child support, it's not enforced on them, and they don't go to jail, and nobody cares? If we are so similar, then where are all these laws coming from? Why are men getting screwed over so bad if we're all so similar? You're hearing feminists, for example, talking about how, men and women, we're so similar, women can do anything a man can, and better. They're always talking about equality. Yet when it comes to stuff like I'm talking about right now, suddenly everything goes out the window. Suddenly, men have to be the ones to pay the child support. Men have to be the ones to carry the extra burden. It makes no sense. It's a total contradiction. But half-truths. Let's acknowledge the small differences between men and women, which are true, right? Because obviously if there weren't differences, there would be no difference. There would be no men and women distinction, right? So obviously there are some differences, but those differences are small. So if they are small, Why then all this horrible inequality against men? And that's the point of this video. You know, God bless Liberation Y. God bless him. I'm going to leave it at that.